welcome everybody. This week we are going to be doing the workshop on value propositions. It's going to be run by our Chief Learning Officer, Roland McIntyre. And without further ado, I will hand over to you, Roland, to do your thing.
Okay, welcome everybody. My name is Ronald. And we're going to be looking at developing your value proposition as part of the Business Essentials package today. Just as a little bit of background, my background is in design, mainly in the software industry, but also in learning as well. And I run a number of innovation and accelerator programs here in Scotland, but also in Ireland as well. And some of what I'm talking about today is based on my experience working on those programs and developing my own companies as well. So just a little look at what we're going to be looking at today. Hopefully by the end of this session, you'll have thought about the role of organizations and questions about value. We're going to have a quick look at the Osterwilder's business model canvas, and then we're going to examine the value proposition canvas that derives from that as well. So that's our agenda for today. But I suppose it's worth sort of starting with a question about why are we talking about value in the first place? I mean, why talk about values within business and value within business rather than simply talking about the economics of it? And I suppose it goes back to the sort of sense that value is a much broader term. As the words that Oscar Wilde put in Lord Darlington's mouth in the play Lady Windermere, the price of everything and the value of nothing. First of all used to sort of describe a cynic, and later on, Oscar Wilde, the great recycler of his own quips, used it to sort of say it was a fool knew the price of everything and the value of nothing. And I think it's because there's a useful ambiguity to the term value that I think is quite important. It's clearly about more than money. It acknowledges that money is only one of the ways that we account for value. And there are other values that can be social, cultural, ethical, environmental. And I know that, many of those values are the kind of values that are actually close to the sort of founding values of TC Alliance around equity, social justice. I think it also has echoes that we're talking about something that can be valuable in and of itself. So a value that doesn't derive from its use. And it has echoes of those values and links to beliefs. So it's got a much broader canvas on which we can sort of explore how people understand value and how we as organizations create value, acknowledging that it's not simply economic. And the value you place on something varies between individuals. It's about making judgments. And actually, there's, for example, the French philosopher Pierre Bourdieu talks about the things that we value and we place value on, saying a great deal about ourselves. And it's something that we use as a marker of social distinction. So it's quite a useful term. But why are we using it here? We're not going to necessarily use it in that kind of broader, ambiguous way. Well, here we're talking about in relation to Osterwilder's business model canvas, which came out of his doctoral research into business and how businesses are set up. And what he did was he went out and he interviewed a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners. And from that, and from looking at the various other models, he developed this canvas. Now, this is both a descriptive tool, so it describes what the outcomes of that research was, but it's also prescriptive. It's a suggestion around what you should do. And we're going to drill down into that in a moment, but I suppose I want to start by just looking at that central bit, that value proposition. And we'll explore that bit in more detail. But before we do, we've got those bits on the right as you're looking at it, which is actually how you relate to customers. So your customer segments, the relationships with your customers, and the channels you use to reach those customers. So that's a sort of key part of it. Then on the other side, normally on the left, you've got the key activities and resources and partners that you use to build that. So if on the right-hand side, you've got how you engage it. This side typically is actually how you enable that within your business. So how is it that you configure your resources into patterns of activities to help you create value? And who do you work with to do that? And then at the bottom, this is probably a little bit more familiar conceptually in terms of thinking about a business model and how to map it out, is around your cost structures and your new structures. So many of those elements are familiar. For example, marketing and customer relations would quite easily map onto that top right quadrant. When we're looking at the resources and the alignment, there are a whole bunch of business theories around, for example, the resource-based view of the firm that sort of map out that territory. And likewise, along the bottom of the finances, there was a series of that. However, what Osterwalder found out was actually that it was the bit in the middle that had a lot of problems with. They didn't necessarily understand how to fill in this bit about the value proposition. So because the writing is really small on this, I've kind of blown this up a little bit. So what value do we deliver to our customers? Which one of our customers' problems are we helping to solve? Note the words here, so problem solving. What bundles of products and service are we offering to each segment? And which customer needs are we satisfying? And this was a challenging area when he was going out and running this as a model. So Osterwalder came back and had a look at it again. And he developed the value proposition canvas to help people fill in that central block. And in this canvas, the box is your bundle of products and services. And the circle is your customer segments. That's what it represents. And note there's a meeting point in the middle there. So within that, it's all probably worth me sort of like unpacking what these different icons are. So the graph is the gains. So how do we create? How does this product create gains for the customers? And the pill is the pain. What kind of pain or pain points does this product or service or bundle of them relieve? And with the barcode and the bell being that product service bundle. I'm using that term very deliberately because I'm in the camp of actually value propositions tend to be bundles of products and services, either productized services or servitized products, but that's maybe another session. And when we look at the customer segment, I think it goes back to, I think the derivation and the influence of this is very influenced by the jobs to be done framework, if people are familiar with that. So this is the concept that actually people don't buy products or services, they buy what those products and services enable for them. With the classic example is people don't buy drills, people buy the holes the drills make. In this case, the smiley shows the gains. What are the tasks and jobs that a person wants to get done? Concrete things that they want to achieve. With the frown being the pains, what are the things that get in the way of them of achieving those goals, of those tasks, of making those jobs happen? And I suppose there's a counterbalance around how your product or service or bundle of it helps alleviate that. And then the checklist is the tasks. What are those, going back to the top, jobs to be done? It's a very useful mnemonic, when you're thinking about your value proposition. So what you have to do in it is you have to get the balance right between thinking about what your offer is in the box, what's in the box, what you understand about the pain points and the gain points for your customers, get that pivot point right, and then use that to populate the central value proposition. And that's the model. that's it. A whistle-stop tour of the business model canvas and the value proposition canvas. And that's me. I'll take questions now.